What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Metal Maniacs podcast. On this Patreon-only exclusive episode, we are going into our releases from March, still a little bit in March, through April, so mostly our April releases. This episode, I actually decided to drop not just exclusively on Patreon. This is actually going to be a bonus episode, and you can get this everywhere, but this is just a sample of the monthly bonus episodes we put out over on our Patreon, so everyone knows there's actually a whole list of bands on here that I'm going to go through, give you a little insight of what I thought about these records that have been released, or EPs, what kind of band it is, and what you can expect from each band, so you can discover a whole bunch of new music. Like I said, join us over on Patreon. It's a simple $5 a month. You get all of our episodes early, and you can get bonus episodes over there. There'll be more bonus content coming over there as well, but for now, this is kind of the format that we got going on. If you got any feedback, join our Discord and let us know what's going on. But yeah, let's get into this, because I got quite a few to go over this month with you guys. I did quite a few, got quite a few in. So we'll start right off at the top here. This is... Looks like some of these are still in some of the ones from March that I was playing catch up, and a lot of April releases going into this. And sometimes I'll find ones that go back a little bit further or whatever it is, but we'll try to keep it like that. So our first band is Egregore. It Echoes in the Wind. This came out March 20th, 2026. This is a black death metal group based in Vancouver, British Columbia. They're known for a mystical, occult-driven sound that incorporates elements of thrash, neo-folk, and arcane chanting. This band features members from other notable underground acts like Mitochondrion and Auruk. It Echoes in the Wild is 10 songs, 48 minutes. To me, this is kind of more... maybe for fans of Sadist, maybe some old Morbid Angel, but a little bit more melodic tip, so some older school death metal. Few notes on this. I would really love to hear this with better production. It seems like there's some really awesome stuff going on here. Love the solos, love the riffs. This is a very fierce record, but the production makes it really demo quality, almost like demo from the 90s, and it is kind of hard to sift through in 2026. There's certain aspects of production that leans its way into metal, and I understand not everything has to be polished and overproduced, because sometimes that goes against the genre. But sometimes if it's just too demo-y, I'm still not getting the point across. And that's just personal preference. Maybe if you like your metal very, very raw, this might be for you. But the demo quality kind of hurts this record. But this is some thrashy Black Death, some weird high 80s vocals at times. And the guitar tone is absolutely horrendous dog shit to me. And it just sounds really raw, and there's no click going on, which is fine too. But if you can kind of hear one chorus faster than the other, to be determined. So I'm not shooting this down at all, but at the same time, this might be for somebody. But if it was better produced, I would probably really get into this, because there is some cool stuff going on here. All right, moving on. We got Poison the Well. Peace in Place. This came out March 20, 2026. Obviously, Poison the Well, they've been around forever. They're a pioneering American metalcore band from Miami, Florida. After a 15-year studio hiatus, they officially reunited and released their sixth studio album, Peace in Place, on March 20th, 2026. Peace in Place, it's their first full-length album in 17 years. This is on Sharp Tone Records, and some other notable bands, I believe, would be like, let's see, Better Lovers was on Sharp Tone, I believe. I wanted to say that No Cure was possibly, and a few other bands like that. But this is 10 songs, 42 minutes, maybe for fans of like Every Time I Die, Glass Jaw, Better Lovers, that kind of stuff. This is there's a little more post-hardcore rock in this. Tough guy, heavy vocals, but the clean singing on this is really good. My first Poison the Well album, I know they've been around for a long time, but I've heard about these guys forever and probably heard songs in passing, but I just really never got into these guys just for, you can't listen to every band. There's too many bands. But To me, there's a little bit of Americana, rockabilly note choices on here, leading towards some of that, like Every Time I Die type thing. But there is some really heavy stuff on this, some really cool riffs. This is a very dope record, very audible vocals when he is doing the tough guy scream. There are some really cool time signatures and like turnarounds and little interesting, quirky things that they put into the music, on top of like having good solid songs and repetitive parts. And it also takes you on a journey. There's different little melody passages, and it's not just all heavy and it's not just all clean, and it's a very combination of great metalcore for 2026. These guys did a great job with this record. This is definitely must listen and a listen again for me for sure. All right, moving on. The Good Depression, Where Grace Won't Grow. This came out March 13th, 2026. This is an EP. Never heard this band before. The Good Depression, they're a metalcore band from Hamilton, Ontario, that formed in 2016. They are known for a sound they describe as heavy, chaotic, and with a southern twang, drawing inspiration from bands like Every Time I Die, Converge, and Norma Jean. The band's discography explores themes of grit and mental state, often through heavy riffs and aggressive dynamics. This is 3 minutes, 11... the 3 songs, 11 minutes long. It's funny because I put the same for fans of as what their band description has, so nailed that on the head. This is just an EP. I love the name and the album title. This is 2000s era metalcore, just like they said. It's spazzy. There's some good production on here. It is pretty riff soupy though, so like you're not really going to get a lot of callbacks, and you got to listen to it multiple times to kind of understand what's going on, which is fine. But it is heavy and pissed, and this is some cool stuff, and this is definitely a cool band that I've come across, and I enjoyed their stuff, so go check them out. Moving on, we got Gore Machine, Congealed and Foaming on March 13th, 2026. Gore Machine is a Philadelphia-based one-man brutal death metal and gore grind project. It is led by a multi-instrumentalist known as Drewsome, who handles all vocals, instruments, and programming. The project sound is characterized by extremely guttural pitch shift vocals, heavy mid-pace riffs, and programmed drums. Lyrically, Gore Machine focuses on Darwinian or bizarre historical ways people have died. Interesting. Gore Machine. Often using humorous or tongue-in-cheek spoken word intros, a la death metal. This is 10 songs, 30 minutes, brutal death metal, gore grind. This is for fans of Devourment, Disgorge, and Some Dying Fetus, probably. My notes before I looked up what this band was, I knew it was a one-man band by just listening to it. There's cool grooves, and some really awesome razor-sharp riffs on this that I really enjoyed. Too many frog and cricket vocals for me, though. It just I know some people love that slammy, froggy cricket constantly. It's just too much for me. But there's some variety to his frog, so I will give you that. I'm not sure how some of these vocals he does it, but so kudos, Drewsome, for that. I would completely fuck with this music. It's just the vocals turn me off a little bit. Production is clean and not overproduced, and almost does sound like real drums at points. You can tell it's programmed, but he did a great job with the program, and the guitar tone is great on this. So overall, this is a pretty cool for a one-man band, slammy gore type death metal. This is pretty cool. Moving on, we got Protrusion, The Last Suppuration, March 13th, 2026. So Protrusion is a death metal band based in Lafayette, Indiana. Not too far from here. Maybe I can get them on the show. Composed of veterans from the American brutal death metal scene. Their sound is a dense, rotting style of old-school death metal inspired by cavernous tones of the early 1990s Florida scene. I could see that. After gaining underground attention with their 2023 demo, the band released their debut full-length album early 2026, which leads us to The Last Suppuration. This is 10 songs, 51 minutes, for fans of probably Deicide, Gorguts, Malevolent Creation, 90s Florida death metal, right? That's what I had down in there. I put 90s death metal. So a lot of times I'll write notes on these bands before I even will go back and look up exactly kind of their moniker and a little facts about the band. And it's funny because a lot of my notes line up right with what these things say. So I put 90s death metal, some super sweet shit, 90s production and guitar tone, and it's kind of fuzzy and the treble is really cranked. The vocals I love and hate. Times it's like death metal vocalists, and sometimes it's kind of like death metal vocals, and it's like cracky and like almost like you could have taken a better take to get it a little stronger. And then there is some froggy kind of, death metal toilet bowls on here too. But I just really noticed the strength in the death metal voice wasn't great on this, but the bass tone on this absolutely rips. Great tone, good performances all around from everybody on this. If you can get over the weird vocals, this music absolutely rules, and this is some good shit. So check that out. I know all music, all art, everything is subjective in taste. So, a lot of this stuff, check it out, but I'm just giving you the synopsis of it, so maybe you could be turned on to some cool shit. Moving on, we got Only Human, Planned Obsolescence. This came out March 27th, 2026. Only Human most commonly refers to a rising Danish existential progressive metal band that recently released their debut album in 2026. On Season of the Mist. Formed in 2022, this Copenhagen-based quintet blends heavy atmospheric riffs with electronic soundscapes and techno-fascist themes. This is 8 songs, 40 minutes. For fans of Periphery, that might be a little more straightforward. Maybe some Machine Head, some bands like that. This is kind of metalcore gent. Lots of clean vocals and production. Tricks on this one with like the panning and the fading and the dynamic washing, the high pass filters and stuff like that. The heavy vocals are used sparingly, and they are mixed kind of loud on this, but the production is really good on it. The riffs are really awesome on this, and I love the soft and dynamics that they incorporate in this, just so they're not pummeling you over the head for the 40 minutes of what this album is. Not quite heavy all the time, but when they do it, those heavy parts do shine. They do have a lot of good groove, a lot of good melody on this. The gent parts obviously are fantastic when you're doing some of those different rhythms and polyrhythms. Very cool. These dudes can play. Very, very tiptoeing metal, though. It's not like, there's enough there to maybe call them metal, but for me, they're more kind of like melodic post-rock. But I did enjoy this record, so go check it out if you're into that. Moving on, Party Cannon, Subjected to a Partying, play on the Subjected to a Beating from the Dying Fetus title. This came out March 27th, 2026. This is 9 songs, 30 minutes. For fans of Peeling Flesh, Snuffed on Sight, slam bands like that. So Party Cannon is a Scottish party slam band from Dunfermline, Fife, known for their brutal death metal sound paired with their humorously non-traditional aesthetic. If you ever seen these guys, his name on a flyer, ever seen it, it's that goofy, like bubbly logo that says Party Cannon. They gained viral fame for their colorful bubble letter logo that stands out sharply against the typical jagged, illegible logos of the extreme metal scene. Yeah, like I just said. The band describes their genre as party slam, distilling their sound into 4 main components: slam, gore grind, early 2000s brutal death metal, and New York death metal, so NYDM. Their lyrics and imagery often revolve around themes of partying, humor, and low IQ antics, contrasting with their dark and serious tone of their musical peers. These guys have been active since about 2010, and they maintain a consistent release schedule. I'm not sure if I love this or hate this. I thought this was... I've seen these guys' name for a long, long time, just never checked it out. It's fun, it's slammy, it's grindy, and there's parts that really, really stand out. The vocals are sick, but they're overused. There's just a lot of them going on. But I've never heard any vocals like this guy does before. So that's very interesting of all these albums and years of metal that I've listened to. But the bass is absolutely clacking through there. There's some cool, great riffs. Man, slam riffs just always speak to me, and I just do like a lot of slam. But sometimes, for me, I do like my music a little more serious. I take my art a little more serious. So sometimes this goofy shit for me just ain't really where it's at. And but kudos to them for standing out in a crowded genre. That's a note that I put on there. They do got their own thing going, and they take it serious enough to be on tour and be on big shows and do their thing. So kudos to them, and can be continuously releasing stuff, but sometimes it's like a parody, and I don't know that doesn't weigh a lot with me when it comes to like our heavy music, right? So take it as you will. If you never heard those guys before, a very interesting band. Moving on, we got Rivers Ablaze and External Dread. This came out March 27th, 2026. Rivers Ablaze is a highly productive Hungarian extreme metal project based in Budapest, known for a complex blend of progressive death metal and black metal. Musical style and background, this band was founded in 2019 by multi-instrumentalist Martin Cortez of Special Providence. Their sound is characterized by technical precision, atmospheric riffs, and a mix of cavernous growls and clean melodic passages. Fans of bands like Opeth, Between the Buried and Me, and Enslave often find their style appealing. I also put for fans of maybe Blood Incantation too. This album is 8 songs, 52 minutes, so pretty long album for eight songs. My notes: progressive, black and death, lots of space, lots of voyages. So when they say atmospheric, it's here. These dudes can really freaking play though, man. The heavy that they do in this absolutely rules. Some clean singing, but not overdone. This is a very dark record though. Overall, the art is super cool. That's what really turned me on and make me want to listen to those guys. This is my first forte into listening to these guys. I do really like this one. As of now, this is on my top 10 for the year. The production is absolutely great on it, and the musicality is absolutely fantastic. I could go without the clean vocals on this, and they could have just kept it all fried in the death metal that they lean into. But all in all, this one I will be coming back to, and you might be hearing me talk about this one at end of year top 10 list. And this is how these lists are formed. They always do well over on YouTube for the end of year episodes, our top 10 episodes. This year I dedicated myself to doing these bonus episodes and just listening to a lot more music throughout the year. So moving on, Corrosion to Conformity, Good God, Bad Man. This came out on April 3rd, 2026. COC is an influential heavy metal band from Raleigh, North Carolina, known for evolving from raw hardcore punk into a Sabbath-soaked southern stoner metal sound. As of April 2026, the band is in a major active phase following the release of their 11th studio album, Good God, Bad Man. Their first album in 8 years, mind you. This came out on Nuclear Blast. This is a double album that has been dubbed Dark Side of Doom. It's 14 songs, 66 minutes, so it's a long one. I put for fans of Black Sabbath, Clutch, The Sword, Some Prong, stuff like that. This is fuzzy southern stoner rock. The drummer rules on this. He's going off. The production is very in the room live, kind of like you're there. You know, let's jam out in the room. Let's sound good together. For me, though, this just didn't hit the mark. The songs are just not great. I'm not a fan of this album. The riffs are pretty weak on this one. A lot of stoner wankery going on. 66 minutes is just too much, man, for me. I guess if you're in the stoner rock and you just want to doom out and turn it on. If you listen to any other episodes of the show, you know this isn't really my favorite genre anyway, but I do like a lot of COC, especially their older stuff. But this one just isn't for me. Maybe a stoner rainy day jam or jam rock, but I'm just not this kind of guy. Love the album. Love the album title. Love the album art. And Bad Man is an okay song, and it harkens back to some older COC, but this one just wasn't for me. But if you do like COC and you like some stoner jams, check this one out. Moving on, we got Nervosa, Slave Machine. This one came out on April 3rd, 2026. This is 12 songs, 43 minutes. This is an all-female thrash and death metal band originally formed in 2010 in Sao Paulo, Brazil. Known for their aggressive sound and high-speed riffs, the band has evolved into an international powerhouse with members from various countries as a permanent base in Greece. This is their 6th album. For me, I said this is probably for fans of Testament, Crypta, they're like sister bands, In Flames, Children of Bodom, that kind of stuff. Thrash death metal, I thought this album was pretty dang cool. The vocals are really sick on it. They're kind of like thrashy, fry vocals with almost a black metal hint. And they kind of go into this raspy, singy, melodic thing is cool. Production on this is absolutely top notch. The guitar playing shreds on this. Great songs, melody, and tones. I do actually recommend this album for people to check out. The one thing about this album that I noticed as I was going through it is a lot of the riffs on this kind of sound like riffs you've already heard. And to know that's hard to like get away with new stuff in 2026. But there's some like blatantly influenced riffs, if you know what I'm saying on this. So, and I also seen another music reviewers give this a bad review. So, you know, like I said, art's subjective, but I enjoyed this album. It won't be on my top 10. It might be another listen though. And I'd say go listen to it if you're into thrashy, you know, black death metal. It's pretty cool. All right, moving on. I told you guys, hang in there with me. There's a lot of albums on this one. So moving on, we got Bloody Valkyrie, Requiem, Reveries of the Dying. This also came out on April 3rd, 2026. This is 7 songs, 53 minutes. Bloody Valkyrie is a Finnish melodic and atmospheric black metal solo project formed by music Jar Karvinen. The project is known for its prolific output and cinematic storytelling, often drawing lyrical inspiration from epic fantasy and video games. So all my video game guys, this might be for you. This project has released 3 studio albums, each focusing on a distinct narrative or conceptual theme. This might be for fans of like Gorgoroth, Agalok, and Dissection. To me, this was some triumphant black metal, beautiful but mean at the same time. I do like this. The production is super clean. Talking and black metal gremlin vocals all mixed in there. It's kind of like being in the Hobbit land, but evil shit with black metal. Kind of Lord of the Rings takes you there. It does take you on all adventures to the mountaintop and back. And the heavy stuff really leans into like more melodic death metal at times. But this is a very, very good album. And I will be revisiting this one again. Top 10, maybe not, but super cool. Moving on, we got Winterfylleth, the Unyielding Season. This came out March 27, 2026. So I don't have these perfectly in chronological order, but I just put them in order as I listen to them, and as they go on my to listen to list, I'll just listen to them, check them off, and go on to the next one. This is 10 songs, 63 minutes, so another long one. Their closest musical brother in arms are probably like for fans of Wooden's Throne. I had to look that up because I couldn't really put my finger on some of these black metal bands that I'm not super versed in, but that'd be another band that would be close to them, like Fen or Seor. Winterfylleth is a premier English atmospheric black metal band from Manchester, known for their self-described English heritage black metal that explores themes of Anglo-Saxon history, nature, and ancestral landscapes. To me, this is very epic, triumphant black metal. A little different than what we just talked about with the Bloody Valkyrie, but it's still triumphant in black metal. The vocals are very Thomas Lindbergh-ish, that style of fry. Very cool melodic, good production, but it's not overdone with the extra orchestrative stuff that you might hear in a lot of black metal that kind of leans on that. This is mean and fierce, and the drummer Stanima on this, holy shit, he can play. Clean vocals and acoustic guitar on the last song, and the cleans are actually really good on this, and it sounds like some melodic rock at times, so you might get that little black and roll feel about it in here. But I actually enjoyed this album as well. Going through these lists, I'm discovering a lot of cool different bands I've never heard of before this year, so I'm glad I'm putting the time in to listen to all of these albums. All right, moving on here, we got Multiwomb, Anatomy of Gorelus. This came out on March 30th, 2026. This is 9 songs, 26 minutes. So sometimes even by the length of the album, you can tell what you're in for. 9 songs, 26 minutes. This is an Indonesian brutal death metal and gore grind band that recently emerged as a significant force in extreme metal underground. For fans of Repulsion, Gore Rotted, and Mortician, this thing has got that fucking tight wood block snare, just like and death metal vocals, range, and then there's the toilet bowl, the super low. The riffs rule on this. It's kind of a muddy guitar tone. The drummer is super sick on this one. The artwork is sick and super brutal. You kind of get what you get after one song, but it's only 26 minutes, so you're not in for a super long ride. The one thing I did notice, though, just some questionable things on the mix on this one. I couldn't really hear the toms very well on the drums, so it's just a lot of snare and very loud kicks on this one. But man, I mean, guess what you get when you listen to Gore grind? You're going to listen to some of the nastiest shit there is out there. I actually enjoyed this one as well. Moving on, we got Obscure Fate, Shades of a Dying World. This came out on March 27th, 2026. This is a Finnish melodic death metal band from Paltamo, Finland. Originally formed in 2008 as a solo project by guitarist and songwriter Kalevaja Kavalanian. Their sound is rooted in traditional melodic death metal blended with elements of thrash and classic heavy metal. This is 11 songs, 48 minutes. For fans of like In Flames, Halo Effect, melodic, maybe Bleed Within, stuff like that. To me, this is very middle of the road record. You've heard everything on this before. Sometimes it gets into that happy, old inflamed beat territory, and that's just not really for me. The cleans they go into lean very into some power metal-ish type vocals. Didn't really hit the mark for me. The guitar players can play. They got some great solos and some cool riffs. This just is not for me. The drums sound very programmed on it. And it does say it's a solo project, so that makes sense. But for me, before I found out they're from Finland, I wrote, and I don't like to shit on anything at all, and I'm not saying this, but I was just like, must be from Wisconsin because there's cheese everywhere on this record. Some things just aren't for me, and this just didn't hit the mark. But speaking of things for me, Mutilation Barbecue came out with the EP Flesh Regenerated on April 10th, 2026. They're an American death metal band from Cleveland, Ohio, formed in 2019. Known for their catchy, groovy style, they blend old-school, brutal death metal with elements of hardcore and thrash, frequently drawing comparisons to early Exhumed or fellow Ohio acts like 200 Stab Wounds. This EP marks the debut of new singer Tristan Wright. This EP is 4 songs, 14 minutes, and I put, like, for fans of On Death, Coffin Rot, Mutilatred, 200 Stab Wounds, that kind of, like, new school death metal hardcore stuff that's happening. Man, this is some rockin' ass death metal. I've heard this band name a ton of times. I think I just neglected it because sometimes the band names can turn me off. So I wasn't real sure what I was going to get with the Mutilation Barbecue. I even know multiple bands in our area that are like homies with these guys and play with them and a lot. But man, this is first time listening to this band. The vocals are low on this with some higher layers. This is thrashy death metal. The songwriting is there. The grooves are on point. The playing is fantastic. The riffs are absolutely great on this, and they have some cool melodic quality to them. They get out of just more of the brutal death metal, discordy, and chromatic stylings. They go into some scales and some very cool melodic quality. This is probably one of my new favorite death metal bands. I'm digging into all their catalog right now. This shit absolutely rules. The production is clean. It does get toilet bowl vocals, froggy, cricket pigs a little bit on here, but I absolutely loved it. The bass is banging on this. They got songwriting and the riffs are great. This band rules, and I can't believe I slept on this band for so long, but love discovering new shit, and this is what this is all about, right? All right, we got a handful more here for you guys, maybe a little bit more than that. Moving on, we got Bill Murray, Kinda Hard, April 10th, 2026. Bill Murray is a solo project of American singer, songwriter, producer, and multi-instrumentalist Johnny Frank, formerly of metalcore band Attack Attack, based in Columbus, Ohio. The project is famous for its genre blurring style, often jokingly referred to as countrycore or melodic outlaw metal, which blends post-hardcore, pop-punk, electronic, and country elements. Since 2016, Frank has released over 20 albums and EPs, including American Motorsports in 2024, Goblin Hours in 2022, and Eggy Pocket in 2020. To me, this might be for fans of like Dayseeker, Beartooth, Sleep Token, stuff like that. This is 13 songs, 35 minutes. My buddy turned me on to Bill Murray a few years ago, and sometimes I do like more than just listening to absolute crazy brutal death metal or gore metal, completely different from Mutilation Barbecue, right? But sometimes, like, when you're in the car with the fam, you want to turn something on that's got a little edge but some good songwriting. And I've actually become a big fan of Bill Murray, and I've talked about him multiple times on this show. This is 13 songs, 35 minutes. this is one of the heaviest outputs he's put out in a long time. This starts heavy as shit. To me, this album is absolutely amazing. Strong songs, great choruses. The last one was a little more country, like the American Motorsports. There was a lot of like slide guitar and stuff. But this is the heaviest they've ever been. I absolutely love this band. The production is always fantastic with Johnny and whatever he does. But this is more singer-songwriter top production. This is more pop metal, if you would say. So this might not be for everybody, but end of day, good songs are good songs. And I just really have been a Bill Murray fan for a few years now. And this does not disappoint with the saxophone solos, the great, cool production tricks, and all of the little details that he puts into making a simple song even more complex. So big fan of this one, actually. Moving on in a totally different direction again, we got Rats Will Feast and Invocation. This is on Time to Kill Records, along with our homies Recorruptor, who have been on the show before. This came out April 3rd, 2026. Rats Will Feast is a Finnish experimental hardcore and post-hardcore band from Finland, but I don't even want to try to attempt to say where that's from. They formed in 2018 and are known for a chaotic sound that blends crushing metallic hardcore with noisy psychedelia and atmospheric post-rock, which makes sense. This is 6 songs, 22 minutes. It's an EP. For me, it's like for fans of Converge, Norma Jean, Mouthful of Locust, which are a local band, or like another local Dead Hour Noise. To me, this is kind of like Minus the Bear meets Converge, melodic and intense. Awesome grindy parts when they get into it. Clean, real production. Post-hardcore with the good songwriting. Moody and adventurous. To me, this is a fresh to me sound. You don't hear a lot of things like this, even though I said for fans of. I don't know, because this is a very new thing. When they get heavy, it gets heavy as piss. They don't have like breakdowns necessarily, so I don't. It's calling it hardcore. I don't really know, but vocals are mostly raspy fry with some cool layers that are a little bit lower. I was very impressed by this, and I'll be coming back to this EP multiple times. Moving on. Archspire, Too Fast to Die, April 10th, 2026. If you're not familiar with these guys, they're a Canadian technical death metal band from Vancouver, British Columbia, known for their extreme speed, complex songwriting, and chopper-style vocal delivery. Often jokingly referred to as the fastest band on earth, they blend neoclassical precision with high-energy party-like atmosphere. The band released their 5th studio album, Too Fast to Die, on April 10th, 2026 is what I said. The record marks a significant shift as their first fully independent release, funded through a successful Kickstarter campaign that raised $125,000. So that's pretty awesome for a band of this ilk. Dave Otero did this one for production, and just to note, one of the hardest guys to replace in a band like this. Their old drummer Spencer Pruitt left, and then we're like, how are you going to find someone to replace him? But they found a guy, Spencer Moore, who formerly was from Inferi, and he just joined, and oh my God, he's an animal. This is for fans of Cattle Decap, Beyond Creation, Dying Fetus, just the most fast technical death metal you could think of. To me, this thing is fucking incredible. It's 8 songs, 39 minutes. I've always been a fan of Archspire, but like sometimes it was just like, hey, look at me, how fast can I play? Look how much I've practiced, and like, but after so many albums, that whole like, hey, look at me, I'm the shit goes so far, like we get it. And not saying their songs were bad before, or not that I was impressed, but it was just kind of like by song 4, you're kind of like, okay, I get it, And I did like all their other few releases, but this is tech, melody, songwriting. These guys are alien musicians. But this album is what I've always wanted from this band. They add a lot more groove in here instead of just flexing their practice schedules. The production is perfect on this thing as far as tech death metal. I almost just don't even have words to describe how impressed and how sick this album is. To me, this kind of trumps everything. I don't even know if anything can knock this out of #1 spot for me. This is album of the year right now here in, I'm filming this on May 1st, but yeah, I don't know if something's going to knock this off, but there's repeating parts and dynamics, so that's more new elements, so you're not just getting pummeled in the face with the fastest band on earth, but then they kind of flex that sometimes, and that's very, very cool. And this new drummer dude is absolutely phenomenal. I can't talk highly enough of this, and I'll be listening to this album over and over again, and to knock it off #1 right now is going to be a feat. So make sure you check that out. New Archspire is absolutely incredible. All right, moving on. Immolation Descent. This came out April 10th, 2026. They're a pioneering American death metal band from Yonkers, New York, formed in 1986. They are widely regarded as one of the architects of the New York death metal scene, known for their unique use of dissonant guitar riffs, complex rhythm structures, and dark anti-religious lyrical themes, as one should. The band released their 12th studio album, Descent, through Nuclear Blast Records. For me, this is kind of for fans of Monstrosity, Vomitory, Chryson, or Incantation. This is 10 songs, 41 minutes. Very great album, man. This is some very awesome, dark, old school death metal. Not a band that I always jam, but a band, obviously, one that's name has always floated around. I leaned a little more towards the melodic style of things, besides maybe a la Morbid Angel throughout my come up in death metal. But man, this one is produced well. It's real, but it's not overly done. These dudes have been doing it, but the riffs and the playing are awesome on this. Another thing that stood out was the drum work. Really fantastic drums on this. And man, I really like this album, and this one would be in my top 10. I'm going to give this one another listen to try to go through. I think I listened to these kind of on the same day, and I was so taken back by the Archspire that I think it overshadowed the Immolation a little bit for me, and I need to revisit it. But overall, fantastic album. I love the art on this one as well, and these guys did a great job, especially for how long they've been doing it. This is a great piece of work. All right, we are starting to get to the end of these albums. Moving on. In Fury, Heaven Wept, April 10th, 2026. In Fury is an American technical melodic death metal band from Nashville, Tennessee, formed in 2006. They are widely recognized as shred-heavy sound, which blends intense technicality with epic fantasy-inspired melodies. The band released their 7th full-length album, Heaven Wept, on the Artisan era. This actually was recorded, mixed, and mastered by their former guitarist Mike Lowe, and this album marks the debut of guitarist Sanjay Kumar from Wormhole and Equipose, and features bass performances and orchestration by founding member Malcolm Pohl. This is 8 songs, 37 minutes. For fans of like First Fragment, Demon King, Beyond Creation, there's that technical, over-the-top metal. These guys are incredible musicians, and they always have great parts, but sometimes you need to listen to it 200 times before it actually sticks with you, you know? Great melody and production, technical melodic mastery. Always love these dudes and the production, but it's like kind of like classical music, but death metal, if that makes sense, because it's just very dense and there's a lot going on here. So, moving on, we got, excuse me. Moving on, we got about 10 albums left here. Stick with me. We got Body Snatcher, Hell is Here, Hell is Home. This came out on April 10th, 2026. Body Snatcher is an American deathcore and beatdown hardcore band from Melbourne, Florida, formed in 2014. Known for their furious and dark rhythmic drops and aggressive live shows, the band unapologetically embraces the deathcore label while heavily incorporating hardcore elements. This is their 4th full length. This is 10 songs, 34 minutes. For fans of Last 10 Seconds of Life, Kubla Khan's, bands of that ilk. I love when they get into the hardcore and two-step parts of this. I've never really listened to Body Snatcher before, but I actually really love this. This is heavy as piss. They got riffs for days. They got some knuckle-dragging breakdowns, but dude's got great vocal patterns, pretty pissed hardcore beatdown vocals, venturing into deathcore sometimes. But a little more to the core. The tones on the guitars are sick. Great riffs, good vocal hooks, and the songs absolutely rule. Sometimes the beat down stuff, I do enjoy it, but it starts to sound the same. But this Body Snatcher album is going to be on one of my top 10s as well. I absolutely love this album. I couldn't explain how much I enjoyed this album. I was super surprised, so this was kind of a sleeper one. Moving on, we got Gift from God, Dissimulation, April 17th, 2026. Never heard of these guys before, but they are a six-piece mathcore and screamo collective from Richmond, Virginia, formed in 2015. They are known for a chaotic, frantic sound that incorporates elements of grindcore, metalcore, and white belt screamo. This is their third full length. This is 15 songs, 34 minutes. For fans of, the only band that I could think of was like From a Second Story Window, which I absolutely love. Explorative death metal, nasty and all over the place with some groove and very interesting melodies and chords. Lots of discords. I guess another one that came to mind is maybe like Code Orange when they were more heavy and not as electronic. This ventures into the 2000s metalcore, Norma Jean, sometimes with a discord. Great playing on this. This deserves more spins as well. The vocals are sick. They go from death metal and spazzy converge highs all over the place. Grindcore, deathcore, melodic metal, as what I said. And this is very cool. This is kind of like artsy metal, if you would say, like death metal, screamo. I kind of see these guys back in the 2000s wearing tight pants and fucking the emo haircuts, but just shredding all over the place. This is absolutely a great record. Moving on, we got The Last 10 Seconds of Life, The Dead Ones. This came out April 17th, 2026. These guys are an American deathcore band from Mansfield, Pennsylvania, known for a relentless sound that blends deathcore with new metal, groove metal, and down-tempo elements. Formed in 2010, the band's name is taken from a lyric by The Smiths. This is 10 songs, 33 minutes. This is their 10th full length, and this may be for fans of Larcena Row, Psycho Frame, that kind of deathcore that's happening now. This is deathcore, but it's decent. I'm not a huge deathcore fan, but the singer does shut up occasionally, and that's the one thing that always kills it for me. Good songs, which is rare in deathcore. The distortion on the vocals is so, like, it goes the whole time, and sometimes it's really annoying, like after 4 songs. But really sick breakdowns and grooves. You can understand what he's saying, and he's got some good patterns. So he's doing a little better than a lot of what turns me off from most deathcore. Good vocal variety and not completely vocal Olympics. Dynamics really help because they go soft and they go heavy. There's a lot of different things going on here, so that helps. It gets pretty heavy metal at times too, which I like. And this is good playing and melody hidden within some of that nasty deathcore, discordy type shit. Good leads and guitar fills. Vocal patterns are great on this. A little samey on this one, like 4 or 5 songs, just like whatever. But I would say this is like new deathcore. A little slow sometimes for me because of too many grooves and breakdowns. It kind of loses its impact. If you do something too much, it just loses its impact, and this could fall under that. But not too bad of an album. I actually like this better than I thought I would like it, but I didn't really know what to expect because it was my first kind of venture into these guys as well. Moving on, we got Piss Rot, Absolute Form. This came out in Iron Fortress Records, April 17th, 2026. These guys are an American death metal band from Kingsport, Tennessee, formed in 2021. They are known for a grimy and bestial sound that blends traditional old-school death metal with elements of noise and bestial black metal. For fans of Travel Gaze, Old Groovy Carcass, and Exhumed, probably, this is their second full-length album. Oh, man, I love this thing. This thing is fucking awesome. It was nasty as hell. This is not for you if you have to have clean production, but the riffs are monsters and just full of rotten, pissy grooves. Love the skank beats and 2-steps they throw in there, and the grinds are just well-placed and executed. Not sure if there's bass because it's just this really low and muddy kind of thing going on, but I love it. But it sounds like you should, nasty and death metal. The vocals are reverb-laden, low, cookie monsters, and then some carcass-style highs in there a little bit, but they are repeating parts, and I cannot speak highly enough of this Piss Rot album. Super sleeper. Never even thought, I didn't even know what to expect, but I love this album. One of the better death metal albums I've heard in a long time. This one will be moved to top 10 for sure. Moving on, speaking of top 10, another band I just stumbled across, Reeking Aura on the Promise of the Moon. This came out April 17th, 2026. This is 9 songs, 32 minutes. These guys are a death metal band based in New York and New Jersey, known for their grimy, old-school sound that incorporates elements of death doom. Formed in 2019, the group consists of several veterans from the local underground scene, including members from bands of Afterbirth, Grey Skies Fallen, and Theatus. To me, this is like for fans of Cephalic Carnage, Artificial Brains, Suffocation, shit like that. They're described as like atmospheric death metal with a focus on dark melodic textures that don't sacrifice brutal guttural roots. Their lyrical themes often revolve around death, decay, and agricultural or fungal motifs, which is reflected in their song titles and album art. Man, I love this record too. This is just one that snuck up on me. Real death metal for 2026. This is so interesting. It reminds me of one of my favorite bands, Symbolic Carnage. Production is very great, very real, but very great on this. Lots of vocal variety, death metal, including froggy and pig vocals, but lets all of the great melody and darkness and the parts that need to breathe on this thing. Awesome riffs and drum parts, very dense musically, so a lot going on. You got to give it some listens. The snare sound is killer on this, and I fuck with this album and this band so hard. Lots of styles going on here, and good melody and playing. I'll be coming back to this one multiple times. Another top 10 for me. Found a lot of good shit in April, man. This has been one of the best months. Late March or April has been one of the best months for metal in a long time, at least for me. God, I love this thing. So Reeking Aurora, go check that out. This is going to be a wreck to all my metal homies. I'm going to be slapping this one on you. I got a couple more here for you, and we almost done. Ones I listened to this week. So this one's Ethereal Darkness. This one's been on the list. So this one actually came out March 20th, 2026. This is kind of for fans of Garden of Shadows. Enshrine, 6 songs, 60 minutes. This is their second album. This is a Belgian melodic death and doom metal band formed in Brussels in 2018, originally a solo project by musician Lars. The band expanded into a full 5-piece lineup to perform live and record their sophomore material. Their sound is characterized by a blend of atmospheric melodies, heavy doom-influenced riffs, and a mix of guttural and clean vocals, often drawing comparisons to bands like Insomnium and Swallow the Sun. To me, Ethereal Darkness is a perfect name for this band. It takes all the elements of black metal, like all of the orchestration and big, atmospheric parts. And there's a little bit of black metal in here, but that's kind of what's missing out of it. But it's more of like a mid-paced, slow death metal, but with black metal atmosphere. It's a little slow for my blood, but the melody is great and expansive. The clean singing is middle of the road for me. Production is clean and crisp. It reminds me of some later like Hypocrisy. 1 hour is a long one, but there are lots of dynamics in this one, including guitars and piano. So we get there, we go there. That's why we got 60 minutes of music here. They're creating a soundscape of feeling. I do like this album though. 7 minutes and one song is kind of long. They start blasting. 7 minutes into song 1, they do start blasting. So it did get my attention from that slow droney first 7 minutes or whatever. I needed more of that to keep me interested because I need a little more oomph on it. But the bass is fantastic on this. The low end is carrying and the playing is fantastic. So not a bad record at all. Just a little long and a little slow for me, but that's just more of a personal taste thing. All in all, this is a fantastic album. So Ethereal Darkness Echoes, man, go check that off. That you want like that atmospheric, slow, repetitive metal. Couple more here. Malum From the Voids, March 27th, 2026. So this is 6 songs, 38 minutes. These guys were formed in Oslo in 2020. This band is quickly risen with the Norwegian underground scene. Their style is characterized as raw, melodic, and atmospheric black metal, and they are currently signed with Dark Essence Records. To me, if you're familiar with the band Judas Iscariot, this is like if that was performed well. This is very old school production on this, black and roll, a little grind in there. The vocalist sounds like he almost has a sore throat when he sings with his gargoyle voice. Not even Fry, more of a like, I got a sore throat kind of singing. Decent structures on the songs, very repetitive, almost too redundant for the length of the songs for me. No frills on the orchestra or keyboard like Black Metal Venture, just drums, bass, and guitars, which the guitars are kind of mixed super loud compared to the drums, so it kind of gives it a weird mix too. The ride bell is the loudest thing on the album, but this is performed very well, and the melodies are rich and haunting. After the second song, I was really liking it though. Like you kind of got to settle into it, but once you do, it's pretty cool. This is the art is simple but impactful, but the other problem is song 1 kind of sounds like song 6, Couple more here. At the Gates, The Ghost of Future Dead, April 24th, 2026. This is 12 songs, 42 minutes. This is the 8th studio album by the Swedish melodic death metal legends At the Gates through Central Media Records. It serves as a posthumous tribute to the band's iconic frontman, Thomas Lindberg, who passed away in September 2025 following a battle with cancer. So R.I.P. Thomas, one of my favorite bands ever. This is the final recordings of Thomas. Final vocal performances recording in 2024 and 2025 during his illness. The band meticulously followed his wishes regarding the album's title, sequencing, and artwork. Andres' first album, he's come back since 2014's At War with Reality. So the co-founder and guitarist Anders Boiler came back. It was recorded and mixed by Jens Bogren, which you can tell by how amazing the mix and recording is. And, this is melodic and epic. Still sounds like him, but he was probably struggling through it. But the legacy of At the Gates lives on through this. The production is fantastic. Big punchy drums and stellar string section tones. Great structure, and has hooks, which they've always done since basically Slaughter of the Soul. The riffs are definitely stellar and At the Gates, but they include some fresh takes on their melodic brand of death metal. I spent some time with the last few releases, and I absolutely have grown to love them since At War with Reality. That one was kind of like their comeback, and I wasn't real sure. But after that, all the other ones were absolutely great. And you can go back to our episode. We cover all the At the Gates albums, and we go over a complete bio of At the Gates on one of our former episodes, so go check that out. I know I keep saying a couple more, but I do have about 5 more here, so we're getting through it. Thanks for sticking with me this long. Usually these aren't this long, but I put a lot of work in listening to some albums, and a lot of good ones came out. We go into Resistor, Bite This. This was a March 27th, 2026. We got 10 songs, 30 minutes. For fans of Filth, Kubla Khan, Heavy Hitter, self-identifying as knuckle-dragging Wicca core, this quintet is known for a heavy sound that fuses modern hardcore muscle with aggressive nu metal elements, including dedicated turntable work. My notes, funky beatdown with new deathcore with a DJ. These motherfuckers are tuned to drop Z. The singer's a big pissed off bear with more of just a hardcore fry yell, but leaves tons of room for the riffs and the grooves to break in. Bouncing between 2-step grooves, a little bit of blasties in here and there, but just low breakdowns. Drums carry the entire band on this one because of how rhythmic it is, and for the DJ to stand out. There are some cool little guitar effects on the fills sometimes that are very affected, maybe with a pitch pedal or a whammy pedal that kind of break up some of that low knuckle dragging groove. Hard not to bang your head to this. The production is clean, but it's very distorted and reeling in your face. This is a real fun 30 minutes. Had a lot of the samey sound going on, but it's kind of like, man, if you're getting in the pit and you're just jamming, the drummer and the DJ absolutely rip hard on this, though. I did enjoy this one. All right, moving on, we got Obey the Kraken, Apocrypha, I guess you could say. EP, April 10th, 2026. This is 4 songs, 13 minutes. For fans of Disembodied Tyrant, Larcena Row, and Of Ruin, Obey the Kraken is a German deathcore band formed in 2023 that has quickly gained attention for its cinematic and narrative-driven approach to extreme metal. Signed to Seek and Strike, the band combines brutal breakdowns and aggressive vocals with intricate sound designed to tell cohesive apocalyptic stories. For me, this is kind of like Disembodied Tyrant Worship. The super fast, the vocalist has the Knott's food disease. I'm going to start calling it that. The never shuts the fuck up disease. These dudes can play. They're like, they break it down to the slowest possible thing with the fastest double kick, just like all of the copycat Lorna Shore, Disembodied Tyrant bands. This is 2026 extreme deathcore. But to me, this is so unoriginal and played out. I don't like this style of music. It's just like trying to be heavy. There's nothing to even grab onto there. I'm glad it was only EP, and I couldn't even get through the whole thing. It was 2 songs, and I was just like so over it. So listen to it if you will, but it is what it is. We come out with on to the next one. We got Terror, Still Suffer. This is April 24th, 2026. 10 songs, 27 minutes. The last song is 7 minutes, but only 3 of it music and 4 of it is voicemails, which is kind of fun. But if you know anything about Terror, you know they are a legendary American hardcore punk band from Los Angeles, formed in 2002 by vocalist Scott Vogel. Known for their high-energy live shows and tough guy hardcore sound, they have released 10 studio albums, the most recent being this album here, Still Suffer, through Flat Spot Records. Says their 10th full-length album was produced by former guitarist Todd Jones from Nails. It features guest appearances from members of Mind Force, God's Hate, and Hot Water Music. To celebrate the new album, there's actually a 20-minute doc out on YouTube that you can check out, chronicling their career and making of the new record. And it was produced at the Pit Recording Studio by Taylor Young and mixed by John Markson. For fans of Madball, Hatebreed, First Blood, if you know anything about Terror, you know Terror. This thing is fucking hard as fuck. One of my favorite hardcore bands as it is, Terror is. Great hooks and riffs. The groove's real hard. You just want to jump in the pit and sing along, just like a great hardcore record should. The vocals are a little loud on it, making the mix like a little vocal heavy, which I guess to each their own. So that's it's not too strange, but like the vocals kind of take up a little bit of room on it, but that's my only kind of gripe. But you get what you get with Terror. It's a banger, great tones on everything. It's real, it's raw, and man, it just punches hard, and the drums are just heavy on this thing. I absolutely love this record, and this one will be on my top 10 as of now too. Hard not to top a Terror album. All right. Stay with me. Got 3 albums left. Sepultura, The Cloud of Unknowing, April 24th, 2026. This is a farewell EP by the legendary Brazilian heavy metal band Sepultura. This is a 4-song release, marks the final studio recording of the band's 40-year career, and it's their only studio project to feature American drummer Grayson Nekrootman. Andreas Kisser described the EP as a spontaneous project recorded at Criteria Studios in North Miami, free from label pressure. The music blends Sepultura's signature thrash and groove metal with diverse elements like clean vocals, orchestral arrangements, and piano. These guys have been hanging it up for like 3 years now, and we dove deep into not only ranking their albums on this podcast, we also did a 2-series deep dive into their whole career, their first half and kind of their second half. So we have a lot of information about Sepultura already here on the channel if you want to go check that out. Music is really good, and I said the last 2 full-length records was their best stuff. So I was interested to see what this EP brought. Grayson is a killer drummer, man. He just really shines on this. This is melodic. This is melodic and chocked full of cool riffs and backing tracks. The first song comes out storming heavy, and then almost into a ballad with some great shred on it. This band again and again doesn't let you down, at least from the last few releases. The rhythms and riffs are absolutely excellent. It does lose me a little bit on the hooks because they do kind of come across vocally and just pattern-wise a little bit predictable and corny, but that's kind of my only gripe about that, and it's still pretty sick. Cool EP from these guys, and man, farewell to them when they finally decide to hang it up, but they keep coming out with music and keep playing shows, so I don't know. They're going to be done one day, but last 2 here. We got, or last one, 2. We got Sectarian Defacement, Hostile Consuming Rapture. This came out April 6, 2026. 10 songs, 29 minutes. Sectarian Defacement is a brutal death metal and grindcore trio from Kyiv, Ukraine, formed in 2024. The band is known for a raw, aggressive sound that blends technical riffing with crushing grooves, deliberately avoiding modern slam trends in favor of a 90s-inspired extreme style. To me, this might be fans of, Tribal Gaze, 200 Stab Wounds, maybe a little of that Mutilation Barbecue we alluded to earlier. This is actually a trio. This is their debut album. This is just some raw-ass death metal. The production sounds nasty and live almost. Sometimes hard to discern what's happening on this, actually. Very unperfect, which I think in death metal is welcome nowadays instead of the over-polished whatever. There's lots of good groove on this, but for me, it's the tones that kind of kill this, and there's just so much reverb on the snare that it just echoes forever and kind of just washes things out. But this is equal parts grind and groove. Vocals are just low, early Cannibal Corpse style vocals, muddy at times, lots of instrumental room, so not just vocal. There's a lot of kind of jamming going on, but there is a really shining moments on this, but it is a mud storm, so take it or leave it. This wasn't a bad 29 minutes, but also a little samey, and man, just the production was on like the piss rot where the nasty production loaned to it. This bad production, or muddy production, I should say, kind of took away from this. And then the very last one of April that we got to go through, and this one came out on April 9th. This is Worship the Sacrifice, Veil of Revelations. 6 songs, 20 minutes. This is a 5-piece death metal band from United Kingdom, specifically based in London, Manchester, formed in 2021. They describe their sound as schizophrenic death metal or mellow, chaotic death metal, a blend of melodic hooks, ferocious speed, and aggressive vocal hooks. For fans of Harbinger or Cryptic Shift, probably. This is melodic death metal, assuming this is, I thought it was maybe a one-man deal because and mixed by the guitar player, because the guitars are super loud on this. But overall, it sounds pretty good. Some cool melodies, almost power and traditional metal at times. I guess they say they're schizophrenic, so they do jump all over the place. Fry vocals and some lows are about the variety of vocals you'll get. A dingy fry thing shows up too, and the enunciation is good. So like it's almost like a singing melody type thing he does. Well-written songs. Nothing really stood out to me, but not bad. Some guitar solos, and they really kept it metal. Can't really hear the bass much on this, but there are some low end. Ends a little weird with some opera stuff on it and some different vocals. And I was reading a little more on this band too, and says like their last effort, like almost every song changed a style. So I kind of see what they're going for that, like not pigeonhole themselves. But I only know off of this one, and it's okay. EP overall, it wasn't terrible. But maybe I might go check out more of their stuff because I do like bands that kind of go for it. But nothing really grabbed me on this. But with that being said, thanks for sticking with me for an hour. Usually these are a lot less long, but I listened to a lot of albums this month. This is usually a Patreon bonus, like I said. But I'm releasing it to everybody just so you can get a sample of what I'm releasing over on Patreon as a bonus episode right now. We'll have more bonus episodes coming out there, so if you want to go support us, we really appreciate that. Make sure you follow us. Please share this podcast with whoever you can share it with if you want to discover new bands or check out our interviews. Make sure you follow our YouTube channel, all that. Big shout out to our sponsor, Dave Stark at Stark Real Estate. Big shout out to Josh Hibbs for helping out with all of our other behind the scenes type stuff that he's helping here with, and Jeff Wright as well. Yeah, and other than that, if you want to join the conversation, hit us up on Discord. So we have all the things. You want to be part of it, hit us up, leave us a comment. Tell me what your favorite album that you checked out of this was below in the comments. And tell me if you like this format. I would like to dive into a little more of the review things that I did before, but it's a lot of editing, so still trying to get a few people along to help out with that and maybe sit down and work on some of that. But man, new episodes every Tuesday. Make sure you check those out, and a lot of bonus episodes that we've had also coming out on the page. So with that being said, much love. Keep it metal. Peace. Thank you so much for checking out the episode. If you're watching on YouTube, please consider hitting the subscribe button. It really helps our channel grow. If you want to be notified when a new episode comes out every Tuesday or a bonus episode, hit that bell so you can be alerted of that. Also, if you're just listening to the show, please consider taking a couple seconds to give us a 5-star review over on your favorite platform. We really appreciate that, and it does go a long way. Share the show with a friend if you discovered a new band or like what we do here. And if you want bonus content and early episodes, you can go over and support us on Patreon to keep this show going and help build this show bigger than what it is. And I really appreciate that. A lot goes into this show, so that helps us out a ton. And if you want to join the community, there's a Discord link below. It's free to join. You can pop on in. We can keep the conversation going over there. Also, shout out to Josh Hibbs and our sponsor, Dave Stark at Stark Realty, for making this show possible. And much love. Keep it metal. Thank you.